Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And we're back for another episode of the Pirate Broadcast. And I just want to thank you, everyone, for joining in the future, today, now, whenever you happen to catch this episode. And today we have a new pirate in the room. Kyle, welcome to the Pirate Broadcast. How are you, my friend?
Howdy. Doing great. Glad to be here talking to you.
In from Houston today and making it happen. So I'm glad that you guys survived the winter the winter freeze, man. That was crazy. It was crazy.
It was. We made the most out of it. We did, I'm definitely from Texas. So we did the typical redneck thing, and we tied a sled to the back of the pickup truck and drug the kids around the neighborhood for a few hours while the snow was still on the ground. So we made the best of it.
Oh man, we will survive, right? We will survive. The thing that amazes me, and I was spent a number of years in Houston, and it's really, I was through Harvey, and some of the things that Houston has been through, and it's just the resiliency of the community, and it's amazing to watch.
Amen.
So, yeah, absolutely positive. So, for those that may not know you or not have been familiar with who Kyle is and what you're doing, share a little bit about what is going on in your world, Kyle, that you can help out a few people with. What's your focus of attention here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Texas Quality Assurance was founded because we knew that there were better ways that folks could manage and operate their businesses, maintain compliance, and keeping track of your certifications and your legal requirements. These are very time-consuming, difficult activities. And we knew there had to be a better way. So that's what we did. We set out for, a simplified method of managing your quality management systems, saving time and resources where it matters most. And it all actually started because I was, working 80 plus hours a week. I wasn't seeing the family. And I said, look, I got to find a better way to do this for myself.
Yeah.
And turned out that we could help other folks in the process do the same. So everything kind of spiraled to get us to where we are today.
Well, it's one of those things that people don't really think about until you have to do it. And it's such a enormous task if you just pick it up from the beginning and start. So it's really nice to be able to have somebody like yourself to be able to walk through, understand what the documentation needs to be, how you need to process it, when you need to process it, what intervals are going to be required, and everything that's necessary. So how did you actually start in this business of the documentation and the process and QA and everything that goes along with it? Did you wake up one day and say, hell, I'm going to go after this? Or was it an evolution in time?
No, definitely evolution, but it's somewhat of a rapid one. We talked to obviously a lot of different quality managers, health, safety, environmental, and you'll find folks that went to school to do health and safety. They went to school to do environmental. I have yet to find anyone that left high school saying, I'm going to be a quality manager. It just doesn't happen. People don't set out to go.
I don't think there's a lot of people in high school that know what a quality manager is.
True. But you will have people say that they're, passionate about health and safety and environmental, but quality is one of those things that sometimes it almost gets overlooked. Yeah. And so I was actually a network administrator. I was, I had built the network, had the servers up and running. That was what I did. Right. So I went from installing switches and networking equipment one day to I'm the health and safety manager the next day.
Oh, wow.
And so I got thrown into health and safety.
That's so funny. That's ironic because after I fell 3 stories and shattered my arm and was off on workman's comp for 2 years, I came back as the safety director. And then I migrated to the IT director.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in an organization. So I just
That's
did
funny.
exactly the opposite of what you did. So
Yeah, but
so
no, I
funny.
got involved with health and safety, and that has its tie-ins to environmental, and it's all a very similar umbrella that everything's under. So quality, health, safety, environmental management, it's all under the same umbrella, and so just kind of one thing led to another pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
The company I was working with was ready to get certified. They were looking to sell and do some other other things, and they've done quite well since.
Mhm.
And we went for certification to 3 standards in 1 year.
Holy
And
cow.
yeah, so I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't even at home. I slept at the office several nights, and I just there had to be a better way. And
It's
so
usually the IT, the IT people that are, pulling the late nights and
that was,
the
that was
maintenance windows.
my background. So yeah, I took everything that I knew, took
Yeah.
all of the available tools. We built a software solution, and it worked. Saved us a lot of time. That's still what
Yeah.
we're doing today.
That's fantastic. I really find it interesting that how people evolve and adjust to their different circumstances. And every time we learn a new skill and learn a new kind of a way to process it or way to see it, it's really nice to be able to have a perspective from outside the industry or outside of the goal that you're working on.
Yep.
To see a new process. And for yourself, like you mentioned, the IT and the technology piece became really valuable when you got into that element of trying to get certified and get these quality assurance and levels in place. And so automation, process,
Yep.
and things like that. So talk a little bit about that, Kyle, because I think a lot of people struggle with that, building processes and making sure things are in place. So what's your approach? What's your strategy for being successful in that arena?
Yeah. So we utilize the process approach. Now, this is a term that is overly utilized in the quality management world, but it really does have a specific connotation. And you hit the nail on the head with the IT. Is those skills working in IT came in incredibly handy and still come in very handy today. The process approach basically says we have an input and we have an output. So it's like if you're driving your car, right? If you want to go faster, the input is you press on the accelerator. The output is the vehicle goes faster. You've got certain controls in place that help the vehicle to convert the input into an output. But effectively, that's it. And it's the same thing with IT is, the old adage, crap in, crap out, right?
Yeah.
And so often that we'll come into a situation, and this is what we see very frequently, is there are these enormously complex solutions that really, with a little extra thought, could be distilled down to a singular issue that needs to be fixed. I was looking at an instance this week where there was a possibility of writing 3 or 4 new procedures, implementing whole new processes, gathering additional information from the customers and documenting in all these different places. We fixed it with one line edit to a process procedure. But it's distilling it down to that final, minimal level. Is these simple solutions, they're the toughest ones to come by sometimes. And the reason that that's so important to us is I value my time, and I think most people do as well. I value my time at home. I value my time at work. And, I want to make sure that I'm making the best use of it. And if we can do something like this to save this customer, they're not going to have to go through this extra hour and a half long process for every sale that they have. They can get the product in the door, out the door, meet the customer requirements, and they made one tiny change. That's a win. That's what drives me and keeps me going. I know it's not the most exciting topic for folks, but I love to see the difference that we can make in these businesses. Because if we can help that business stay productive and stay efficient, especially right now, it's an enormous difference for everyone that works there in that company. When you're talking about very long-lasting changes for a lot of folks, and that's where the pride in what we do comes in.
Well, I think it's really important for people not to miss this point, because you touch base on a very important and critical measure, is that so many business owners, so many people in business, they're used to doing it. That's the way we've always done it mentality. And they don't necessarily look at things in what can be improved.
Mhm.
They look at things about, okay, how do I just get to the next step?
Yeah.
Where
And,
someone like yourself can come in and look at it from a new perspective, fresh perspective, and say, okay, there's one
yeah.
line of code there's one line in this
Mhm.
process that we can change and evolve into changing everybody's world and saving everybody a lot of time. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden you could be the hero. However, it's what's required is a new perspective, a new
Mhm.
idea, something to be seen that others have not seen, you know?
No,
So
it absolutely is. And it is very beneficial being kind of able to come in with an outside perspective. We'll have clients ask, well, how much experience do you have with this niche of the industry or with this particular type of work or manufacturing? And it almost sounds arrogant to say we don't need that specific niche experience, because what we're coming in here to do is view everything from a process level. And that's where our expertise is. That's what we're good at. You have the technical experts at your organization that have far more knowledge and experience than we could ever hope to have. Let's use them and let's simplify this process. Let's save everyone enormous amounts of time and effort, and that equates straight to the bottom line. Your sales team can spend more time selling. Your production team's doing less reworks. Everyone wins. It becomes a situation where you enjoy going to work. And, that's really what drives me. That's what I love.
I think it's important for people to really also think about, when I get stuck, the best thing I can do is phone a friend. It's in having a resource available and in place at different times in your business is absolutely critical. One of the things that I really used to love to look at and work through on process, because I've been working in engineering and software development, and I've been fortunate to be in so many different arenas, and it always comes back to break it down to the smallest common denominator that everybody can agree to, and then look for the nuggets of knowledge that we need to evolve to next. What's the thing that we can tweak and adjust and optimize? And it falls into two camps there. Some people are very excited about change and others can't stand it.
Yes.
So how do you navigate through that process of change management versus process management?
Yeah. The two really are and should be interconnected, because the whole idea of the process approach is that the output of one process inevitably becomes the input of another. And that could mean that it becomes the input for the next iterative stage of planning. So, but if you come into an organization and you say, we're going to do this, we're going to put all of these new procedures in place, we're going to put all of these processes in place, and we're going to tell you how to do your job much better. Get out of here. No one wants to hear that. Absolutely no one wants to hear that.
No. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's a waste of everyone's time, effort, money. No one wants to go down that road. So what we do instead is really try to spend a lot of time with the people. For instance, when we do a gap assessment, it's how a lot of these engagements start, but it's not your 300 questionnaire gap assessment. It's not me, the consultant, telling you what you need to do. It's I'm in there talking to the individual, operators in the business. What do you do? Tell me about your day. What is it? What is it you're responsible for? Great. So you're a welder. Tell me, where do you even get your materials from, right? Do you have any certifications? Does the company require you to have certifications? What training did you get elsewhere? Man, what are the biggest pain points you have in your job? Like, what drives you bonkers? What makes you go home cussing your job? And you can have those conversations with folks. And when you treat people like people, it's amazing the difference in you get in your output. You really are able to engage with folks, and then they can see that instead of you being an agent of some corporate change process, you're actually an agent of change to help him have a better day at work tomorrow.
And as well as anyone, because we've talked several times, is this idea that just 2% perspective on what you're doing can change your outlook on life.
Amen.
It's really one of those things that you have to really think about. Okay, is this happening to me or is this happening for me?
Yeah.
because we all have lessons to learn. And the reality is in business, if you're working for someone, if you have a skill that you're delivering to a company or organization, there are going to be days where you're just like, I really not, this is not vibing for me. And you still have to perform. You still have to deliver the service. However, if you can I wake up with gratitude every day. It's like I'm a pretty minimal guy, and I don't have a lot of overhead in my life, and it's just really one of those things that you have to appreciate. Even as complex as the business world can be, it's really nice to be able to step back and say, okay, we're just all here together working on the same goal. How do I fit in? How can I add value and a new perspective?
Well, a lot of my personal philosophy, like I truly love to work. I absolutely love work. And that's something you don't hear from a lot of folks. Although I think you could, and I think we should, if things were tweaked a little bit better in some of these organizations. But I really love work. I love any type of a productive exercise, right? So whether I'm here in the office doing, whatever it is I'm doing during the day, working with clients, if I'm at home, like right now, my wife is a quilter, so I'm rebuilding new quilting furniture for her. It's like I enjoy that productive pursuit. Yeah. And I think that's something that we really do well with some of our clients is I'm truly excited about whatever the work is that they're doing. And so then I can jump in there with that same enthusiasm about whatever the job is that they're doing. I don't care if you're processing invoices, you're doing it in a different way than I've seen before. That's fascinating. How do you meet all these requirements? Or you're out on a field job somewhere and you spent the last 2 weeks in a man camp. I'm thrilled about what you're doing. And when you can bring that level of enthusiasm, like legitimate enthusiasm into it, it changes the perspective of the work and how you accomplish your goals.
Well, it's an investment of time. And what a lot of people fail to understand or appreciate is that I'm investing my time to help your job improve. And when people understand and appreciate that and get it, it's really part of the process. And it's really one of those things that you have to say, okay, let's see how we can work together to improve it together.
Yep. Amen.
And you get ownership, you get buy-in, and you have that opportunity to actually have help in your job. So that's really nice to be able to do.
Terms like this, ownership and buy-in, these are words that are so often just tossed around in the business world. Take ownership. We need buy-in in this process. But really, what's that look like for the average person?
Yeah.
And well, what it looks like is I enjoy going to my job. I know how I fit in with the organization. I know the impact I can make on a day-to-day basis, and I can take pride in my work. Yeah. That's ownership. That's buy-in. You don't need some 30-minute long, PowerPoint to explain that.
No, and that's a one-on-one conversation that can happen with everybody and anybody in an organization. And here's a question that we may not be able to answer in the time we have today. However, I think it's something that we want to plant this seed for anyone that's listening that has, an organization or moving forward and creating, but it's the culture of change and the culture of improvement, in a Six Sigma or Kaizen or any of these principles that business improvement is a constant evolution. It's not just this, okay, one and done. It's an evolution of how can I improve? How can I grow? How can I make these processes as optimized as they can be with our environment today? So how does that fit into your long-term goal and your vision for the individual companies?
Sure. So if you take a look at the ISO 9001 standard, when I say ISO 9001, people's first thoughts are, we've got lots of procedures and forms and checklists and things to do. Not really. If you actually look at the ISO 9001 standard, you look at the fundamental principles of it, and they actually publish it. They call it the quality management principles. And these are the foundation of the standard. And like it or not, ISO 9001 is the example for the rest of the world when it comes to quality management standards. At the heart of this, it's all about culture. It is absolutely about culture. We start with customer focus, leadership, engagement of people. These are the first three principles.
Yeah.
That does not sound like process, procedures, and checklists. That sounds like building a culture around quality. And that's absolutely critical and key. We've got, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 episodes on our podcast where that's all we talk about is just the quality management principles. But it is a good quality company has a culture based around quality.
Yeah. And that's so important. It's really important. Speaking of culture, I want to cultivate a few wonderful relationships here. Sheila
Sure.
Chamberlain in the room. Hyatt Ives. Good morning, fellow pirates. Sheila says, new perspective. It's absolutely, Sheila, absolutely. A new perspective can change the way we look at things all day long. And she says, learn from experience, learn from experts. You know, Kyle, you're an expert in the field. You've had a lot of experience and ISO, you know, is one foundational effort. You know, there's a number of different standards in different industries.
No shortage.
No shortage. Hyatt Ives says, the Texas Longhorn behind you is fantastic. Hyatt's right there in Houston as well. So awesome. I love that. Wendy's jumping in the room. Good morning, Pirates. Welcome, Kyle. Did you know there's someone behind you cheering you on? Welcome to that guy too. Yeah, it's so fun. Mahesh, salary is important instead of ownership for me.
Hey, you know, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You know, it's the adage. It's, you know, I used to have this conversation with my son. He was a pipe fitter. He was in the pipe fitters union. And it's like, I punch out, I go home. I don't have to think about, you know, he goes, Dad, you're always working. You're always doing something. It's like, I just like to work. It's just, I like to create. I like to learn new stuff. I like to do things. I like to, you know, it's just, I've always been that way. And it sounds like you're that way as well. So
I am. But I don't expect that everyone else should have to be though.
No.
But that is like what I do in my free time. I want to do something productive. If we go on vacation after the first 2 or 3 days, like I get the itch, I need to do something. And you know, it drives my wife bonkers, but I start getting the itch. Like I have to do something. I have to do something productive. I've had enough laying around. But on the flip side, that's what a lot of people want, is they want to be able to have that time. They want to feel secure in taking that time to do whatever it is that matters the most to them. These processes and this way of operating and managing your business, so why these are called management systems, allow your people to have that steady salary, to have that steady paycheck, and to devote time to what matters most to them.
Also, to be able to adjust the business to the current, the current landscape of the environment, the economy, the industry, everything that's changing around us. So
we've seen
those processes are absolutely incredibly important.
We've seen folks on kind of, you know, the bottom third of the spectrum that have really, really struggled with the downturn. They're, you know, some of them shut their doors, they're just hunkering down, you know, just hoping to survive. Then we see another group of folks kind of on the top third. I can't say that they've thrived financially through all of this, but they are set up to thrive financially here as the world recovers, because they've taken this time. Okay, fine. So we don't have as much production as we had before. How can we improve internally? What are the things that we can do to better ourselves once the world starts getting back to whatever new normal is? And it's that culture around quality, that culture around improvement, that willingness to accept change, because I know the good that it's going to cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about that, because it's now a year that we've been in kind of a lockdown and COVID and the pandemic. And, you know, if you look back on history and you see other pandemics, it could be another year before we even, you know, evolve out of this. And, you know, vaccinations are coming on board. And so what are you seeing in the industry? And I think you brought up a good point. When things slow down is the time that you accelerate your development, optimizing your processes and getting that in place. And so is that something that you're encouraging business owners to kind of
100%.
look at and investigate?
100% is, when your phone's not ringing with sales orders and you've got guys that are looking to stay busy, this is the time to find those improvement projects. And we can have a whole other conversation about how do you identify what those improvement projects are, because it's very easy to be guilty of what I call shiny-itis. Here's something shiny over here. I'm going to go work on that. I'm going to go work on this. Right. But you really have to distill it down of what's the expected output from this improvement. If you can ask yourself that one question before you start any improvement project, you're going in a good direction. What's my expected output to this process? Yeah. But yeah, now it's definitely the time. If especially even for sales folks out there, now's the time to get into the shop. You don't have those customer luncheons anymore. No problem. Go eat lunch in the shop and talk to the guys and ask them about their job. Ask them about the projects that they really enjoyed working on, the ones that really caused problems for them. You'll find out where you actually have more skills and expertise in your organization than you knew you did. That's going to make your next sales effort so much better. So it's everyone can be impacted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, take inventory of all of the skills that you have in your industry or your business. There's a lot of people that have a lot of different skills. And, like myself, I love live streaming. You started a live stream, you started your podcast, and that's another way that you can actually communicate. And there's probably, in a lot of businesses, there's probably people that are musicians or creative people that would love to contribute. And so if you could take an inventory of all those individuals and say, okay, what can we do together? How can we produce results? Those are all, it's not necessarily focused on a certification of anything, but it's optimizing the community and the culture in the business, which allows you to create the culture of improvement. Yep. And allowing people to be involved and engaged in the process. Yep. I think it's amazing.
Examples, we started, you mentioned we started the live streaming. Like, do you know why we started doing any live streaming?
Why did you start doing live streaming, Kyle?
We started this because we have a training program, a classroom training program that we've done for years. No one's going to classroom trainings. And let's face it, in the last 12 months, small businesses have not had the cash flow to pay for these type of trainings. So we said, you know what? We can't find a good way to market and sell this online. We can't really seem to get classroom trainings going anymore. I'm just gonna put the information out there for free. And I'm putting, basically the goal is that I'm going to have half of our QMS boot camp out there live streamed on YouTube, totally free. If you need help, you got questions, you're new to the quality management world. I have been myself. Here you go. This is everything you need for it.
Here's the foundation that you need to get started. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Angie's in the room. Good morning, Pirates. Thank you so much for being here, Angie. Love it. And Anna's good. Good morning, gentlemen. Anna's here. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Involving people just like this on a live stream is really, really important. And you've been on the live stream. I've been producing live streams for you through OGGN and some of the networks here. And now you're a pirate on the Pirate Broadcast. And it really helps develop a relationship. And that's, I think, the most important benefit or byproduct of being out there and putting yourself out there and adding value to the environment. So it's really nice.
If we go back to these quality management principles, right? So the first one's customer focus, all about relationships, leadership, engagement of people. The last one is relationship management. So when you think about quality management, you're hitting on all of the core principles of these standards that help us maintain compliance in this modern world. It's the same idea, just a different spin on it. It's the same idea. There's nothing new under the sun. So
people, and that's a brilliant point to kind of bring it to a conclusion. It's like, it's part of life. It's part of everything we do. It's not another thing we have to do. No. It's just engage in a quality process in everything you're doing. And then it's so simple. And I know that with your help, Kyle, a lot of business owners can improve their process. They can improve their certifications, make sure they're in compliance, make sure that Their insurance premiums are optimized. Everything about it is just really, there's a benefit anywhere you look at it. Your employees, everything, your safety factors, your considerations in your business are all involved in improvement. So,
amen.
And it's just amazing opportunity. So how do people get a hold of you, and how do you like to have people track you down, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So I think most everyone here is probably on LinkedIn already. It's a good way to check us out. You can go to texasqa.com. Got a lot of good information available on the website, but there's probably the two best places to find us.
Well, as always, everyone, thank you, Kyle, so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that showed up today. Anna says, everything comes from something. That's brilliant, Anna. I love it. I love it. Howard Kaufman, great perspective. Thank you so much, Howard, for being here. Howard's awesome. He has a great product, Oral. Go buy it. Check it out. And I just really love the community. I love the opportunity to have conversations like this, Kyle, and I look forward to future conversations and introductions and everything that we can do. So if you like this episode, go like, comment, share it out.
Amen.
Subscribe to YouTube, the channel, the podcast, whatever it happens to be. Everything can be found on russjohns.com. And thank you so much for being here, Kyle. I really appreciate you, and stay safe in Houston, and look forward to the next opportunity we can connect.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. And as everybody knows, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. So you enjoy your day. Take care. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate